Hi guys, welcome to Ozark Johnson Farm. Today I want to make a video about TSI, our timber stand improvement. For a little background, we have 200 acres in the Missouri Ozarks, and it is almost entirely low quality hardwood timber. So when we first decided we wanted to start improving the habitat, the first thing we did was put in food plots. We had 2 3-acre plots cleared, and we had some existing clear cuts on the property that gave us a total of about 8 acres of food plots. We were doing a rotation of soybeans in the summer and a blend in the fall. And the biggest problem we had in the beginning was the deer would destroy the plots before they could get established. So we started fencing them off with electric fence, and we'd keep them that way until the beans are knee high. Then we'd take the fences down and let them have them. And that worked. We got a lot of success that way, but it still wouldn't take long, and they would eat the entire plot down to nothing but stems. So I started looking into the timber to see what we could do there to provide more forage and just better habitat in general in the timber. So what I figured out was we needed to do TSI and FSI, timber stand improvement. They both mean the same thing. FSI is more focused on wildlife habitat improvement. We decided to start on a 35-acre stand right in the middle of our farm. It's primarily a south-facing slope. And I believe years ago this was a much more open area, more of a savanna type habitat. So that's my goal, is to kind of return it to that. And by doing that, we'll let a lot more sunlight hit the ground, have a lot more native vegetation growing. It's going to provide both food and cover, not only for deer, but for all wildlife. So that's the goal. And part of that is also to cut down all the cedar trees, eliminate all those. We have 2 to 3 acres of this stand that's completely choked out with cedars, or was. I'm almost finished with this project. I've been working on it for about 2 months. And the next step is we're going to run a prescribed fire through here, and I plan to try to video that and bring that to you too. So I hope you come back to see that. And then further down the road in the summer, spring, summer, I want to do some progress videos to see the results of what we did here. So the main purpose of this is to try to help people that may be getting ready to do this same thing on their property. Alrighty. We're up on the north side of the stand now, up on the ridge top. It's a nice flat ridge top in this area. So probably drop off the edge here just a little bit, and I'll find something to point out to you guys. Start identifying which trees need to go. Hopefully I can show you enough to be of a little help to you. Let's see what we can find. There's a perfect example of my timber down here. This thing's bent like this, twisted, has this big burr on it. This tree is most likely hollow, so it's no good for nothing. I just double girdled that tree and took it out. Even though it's kind of cool looking, it's blocking out all the sun. There's no vegetation on the ground. So things like that need to go. There's another one, folks. This thing goes up like this and back like that. So that one's got to come out. It's post oak. Here's another post oak. It's pretty straight, but the top isn't real great, so that's a good one to take out. And then this here is another post oak, and it's a nice straight tree, and it's got the best crown of all of them. So that's the one I chose to leave. So this tree both got whacked, and the one behind it. That tree is nothing but a stick standing up in the air, hardly any top to it at all. That tree will never make anything. There's a great example of what I mean when I say I have a low quality forest. I have lots of post oaks like this right here. I don't know if you can tell, but this thing goes like this. So that had to come out. And then right behind it, if you can see these, we have this real tight cluster of more post oak. These are all 3 post oaks. So out of the 3 of these, This one's got the best crown. It's all on one side because this one's crowding it out on this side. So I took this tree out and this tree out. Hopefully release this tree and let it grow because it's got a nice straight trunk on it. So hopefully that crown can expand out and turn into something worthwhile someday. Well, here's an example of a tree I should have killed and didn't. I don't know how I missed it, but you can see that it's a decent straight trunk, but there's probably only one log in that, and probably only ever be one log in it. And the top is kind of spindly, not too great, and definitely being shadowed out by this big red oak behind it, which, you know, that's got nice straight form and at least 2, maybe 3 logs in it. So there's a lot more potential in that tree to be worth something than this little post oak next to it with a big V, not 12 feet or so up. So that one I should have whacked and didn't. So I'm gonna have to make another pass through here someday probably. Well, I didn't have to go far, just a few steps, and here's a cluster of 3 post oaks. I think you can see how wavy those trees are. They're all twisted and curvy, and they're too close together. So that's a good bunch of trees to take out. All right, here's an example of a gnarly old post oak. It's got a big sway in it, not a very healthy crown. It's got a big hole in the other side. It's probably hollow. I mean, I know it's hollow, so I went ahead and girdled that tree to kill it. Right next to it over here, we've got a nice, beautiful white oak tree. It is straight as a telephone pole. It has a nice crown up there at the top, and that's going to make a nice log someday. So I wanted to remove that post oak to give this white oak less competition. And right here on the other side of this nice white oak is a red oak, which is pretty decent. It's in good shape. It's got a decent crown, but it's really crowding this white oak out, and white oak's more valuable, so I went ahead and took that out as well. Here's another example of trees that are just too crowded. There's only 5 feet in between these 2 trees and these 2 trees. These are all post oaks right here. But if I look up, you know, this crown isn't very healthy. This one's not very healthy. Small, spindly crowns. This one, it's a pretty straight tree for the most part, and the top, it has the best crown of all of them, including these. These are both junk trees as well. So I just killed all the other ones around it and left this one so it can expand and hopefully produce a nice log someday. So here's an example of the eastern red cedar invasion that we have. All through this creek valley, several hundred yards up here, was completely choked out with cedar trees. A lot of that area had a stem every foot, literally. So as you can see now, we got a lot of cedar slash on the ground, and I'm hoping that this doesn't burn. In our burn that we're getting ready to do, we're going to run a prescribed fire through here in the next couple weeks. And if it does burn, it's going to do nothing but singe off all the needles and fuel, and all the bigger limbs and trunks will remain. So I'm hoping that it doesn't really catch and just smolders through here. And then we'll wait about 2 years, and then we'll burn it then, and it will be a fire to watch, because there is a ton of it. And then unfortunately we have the exact same situation on that side of the creek for a couple hundred yards, but that's going to be another project, because I've had enough of cutting down cedar trees for right now. So you can see how there's no vegetation growing in here. It's nothing but a brown carpet of leaves. So that's the goal. Make a change on that. I cut down a lot of the mid-story stuff like the dogwoods. So every one of these piles that I've walked up to has had browse on it. So that's definitely another benefit of doing this, is this whole 35 acres is covered with a lot more woody browse that they can reach now. So it's all on the ground. Dogwoods and hickories, they both have buds that the deer like to eat, and they couldn't reach them before. Okay, I know it's pretty obvious what I've been doing, but I thought might as well go ahead and do a demonstration. I'm doing a single girdle and herbicide. Make sure your girdle connects all the way around. All you got to do is get underneath the bark into the cambium layer. I'm using pathway herbicide, squirting it all the way around the cut. It just takes a little bit. You don't have to make it so it's running down the tree or nothing. You don't want to get it on the ground. I believe it's ground active, so just takes a little bit, mist it in there all the way around the cut, and you're good to go. It's on to the next one. Okay, here's a little post oak that needs to come out. Thought I would demonstrate the hack and squirt method too, even though that's not what I've done on this 35 acres. It's another method that can be used. So you just give the tree one hack, get below the cambium layer, 1 milliliter of herbicide injected into that, and you're done. That's for trees 3 inches and less. Every 3 inches in diameter requires another hack and another squirt of herbicide. I didn't use this method here, but I will when the time's right, because I have some areas that have a lot of small trees like this that need to come out. This 35 acres, it was a large number of the trees I was cutting or taking out were 6 inches and larger. So it would have taken multiple hacks per tree, and I'm killing a lot of trees because I'm really opening up this 35 acres. So that's the first reason I didn't do this method. The second method or reason is because I've heard that hack and squirt is only effective from like July till when the leaves change color in the fall. And the girdling methods are effective year-round except for early spring when the sap's really rising in the trees. So that's the reason I went with the chainsaw method. Like I said, I will do this in certain areas during the right time. So anyway, I think that's it for this video. I appreciate you watching. I hope you come back and see the prescribed burn in this area, and like and subscribe. Thanks.